This is like a prelude, an introduction to the main event. So I want to see whether you can spot the link between this part of the video and what follows. So I think most of us are familiar with the idea of predictive programming. So that means, like in films and TV series, they show a supposedly fictitious vision of the future of what life is going to be like. And the idea of it is that that is what they're going to try to aim to actually create in the future. And the reason why they do it is that, first of all, natural law, they believe, you might not believe it, but they do, they have to tell you. Because if they don't, then any adverse karmic consequence of their actions will fall on them, not you. So they have to warn you in advance, and this is what these films and TV programs do. And your silence counts as your consent. That's how they see it. The second reason is that they believe that you'll be more likely to accept something when it arrives in the future if you've kind of seen it on TV. You might recognize it. Oh yeah, you know, like there was all these films about deadly plagues and stuff prior to the period of biomedical fascism, which started in March 2020. They believe that you'd be more likely to accept the hoax if you'd watched a fictitious version of the hoax portrayed in a Hollywood movie, you know, maybe 2 or 3 years before that. So on that note of predictive programming, there are two films that I think are particularly noteworthy in terms of their relevance to spring 2026. One of them is Children of Men, and the other is an older film called Demolition Man, which starred Sylvester Stallone and Sandra Bullock. And in this latter film, Demolition Man, there's tons and tons of predictive programming in it, loads and loads of different aspects. What I'm going to focus in on is just one of those aspects today, which is about music. So there's a scene in Demolition Man where Stallone is riding in a police car, being driven by Sandra Bullock. I think it's self-driving. You know, there's another aspect of predictive programming in itself. But anyway, the music that they're listening to is absolutely terrible. It's basically a radio station that consists of just playing advertising jingles. And what you're supposed to think about this is just how society has been dumbed down in this fictitious portrayal of the future, that culture has been dumbed down, that people actually enjoy listening to advertising jingles, really cheesy ones. I'll show you what I mean now.
Alone, John Spartan, but you seem very much alone, John Spartan, but things aren't all that different. Perhaps you'd like to hear an oldies station. Oldies? Oh, what a relief!
Oh, this is the most popular station in town. Wall-to-wall mini-tunes. You call them commercials.
Here's that classic you've all been waiting for. The #1 request of the day. Armor hot dog.
Kids eat Armor hot dog. Oh, wow. This is my fave.
Even kids with chicken pox love hot dogs. Armor hot dogs. The dogs kids love to buy.
Messages do they want you to surreptitiously accept? Well, obviously the dumbing down of society, but then also, you know, the fact that music is, the creativity of the music industry isn't what it used to be. I can see this now already, you know. For me, the golden age of music was the 70s, 80s, 90s. You had a lot of independent record labels, loads of bands making music, novel music, different genres. You know, for me growing up in the 80s, there was ska, there was heavy metal, there was prog rock, there was punk, there was new wave. There was just tons of different types of music, all being made, all very creative. Fast forward to now, and most of that has gone, and you do have like just dross, little more than advertising jingles, football chants, Taylor Swift type stuff. Now in the future I think this is likely to get even worse, for two reasons. First of all, they've deliberately undermined the music industry, making it very hard for musicians to make a living from creating music. So for example, selling CDs and vinyl, that used to be a big money spinner for musicians, but streaming has taken that away from people. And that began really with things like Napster, and even maybe before that, home taping is destroying the music industry. Why did the government allow the individuals to have their creative property to be so easily stolen? I think they wanted to destroy the music industry for a very long time. Artists, they get paid a pittance by the streaming companies, so they can't afford, young people, they can't afford to make music a career anymore, which basically suits the globalists because it has allowed them to centralize the music industry. You have to be signed up to one of their huge labels that pushes dross. It's not possible to go it alone and go with an independent record label. A lot of the record shops have closed down. It's much harder now than it was, say, in the 80s and 90s. That's not an accident, that's intentional. They want to centralize the creation, the supply of music, so they can control it more easily. Turn it into crap, like the type of crap that's shown in Demolition Man. Streaming is also fantastic for censorship, so you can just delete somebody's music, just at a press of a keyboard button, gone. And basically you don't have a physical copy of it, you don't own it. You might really want to listen to a particular piece of music, that maybe has some interesting countercultural references that the globalists might not like. With streaming, you're not going to get access to it. They want your culture degraded and dumbed down. So the globalists want you basically unhappy, demoralized. What can we do to counteract this? I've mentioned some things before, very quickly. Buying hard copies of books that can't be altered, very important. Getting outside into nature and appreciating that costs nothing. They hate that. They want you stuck at home. It doesn't cost anything to go on a walk. Make no mistake, they hate you to enjoy anything that doesn't involve you having to spend money. So if you want to fight back, what you actually have to do is the opposite. What you actually have to do is to seek out things that you enjoy, find things that you enjoy that doesn't involve you spending money with their corporations. That's how you can fight back. Seeing your friends, preferably entertaining friends at home, cooking meals for them, going round to somebody's house for a coffee, listening to music. Another thing that I would be doing as well, this might sound a bit trite, but buying up things like chess sets or board games, or maybe even, not for me, but some people like this type of stuff, is old school computer games and consoles that don't have to be hooked up to the internet to work. Because that's another thing as well, is that we have to prepare for life without the internet. A while back I did a video about UN 21 and UN Agenda 2030, focusing very much on transport, like what their objectives are and what you can do to avoid falling foul of what they've got planned for you. So with that in mind, I thought it was high time for me to do another video about these UN agendas 21 and 2030. So if we think back, right, there's several things that they want to achieve. One objective is you will own nothing and be happy. So they want you in the future to be renting, not just never owning a home, always renting. There was the mad stuff, wasn't there, about they want you in the future to not even own the clothes that are on your back. They want you renting those as well. So that's something that we need to think about. How can we not end up renting things that we need and things that we derive enjoyment from? Because if you rent, then you constantly have to make payments to them, which means that you constantly have to earn income, which means to make those payments, which means in turn you constantly are paying tax to them. So that's why they don't want you to own stuff, because when you own stuff, you own it, so you don't actually have to pay anybody when you want to use whatever it is that you've bought. If you're hiring it or renting it, then every time you want to use that certain something, you have to pay a fee. So as I say, that means if you're a renter, they've got you where they want you, in that you've got to constantly earn income, and secondly, because of that, you've got to constantly pay them tax. Another aspect of UN Agenda 21 and 2030 is they want us to be miserable. They want us to be a monopoly consumer of their propaganda. So they want you, they've got the YouTube, all the big YouTube channels that the algorithm pushes. They control them. They've got Netflix. They want you to rent their media propaganda, and I think that I've got a strategy for you to kind of, first of all, not end up renting the things that they want you to rent, and then secondly, I've got a way of breaking their media monopoly, because I think as time goes on, access to decent media will become harder and harder and harder, because you see, when things are streamed over the internet, they can remove anything that they want to remove, just like that. Who was that British comedian who said just like that? Anyway, I'll show you what I mean. I've got some ideas now about what you can do to at least avoid one aspect of that, and I'll go back inside and I'll show you what I mean. So in Finland, we've got like an equivalent of eBay called Tori. Now on Tori there can be some bandits, like that CD player that I got ripped off on, but there can also be some really good guys on there, and I'll just show these hi-fi speakers. I got they're a three-way speaker, Oliver Rasmussen or something, so it's kind of a boutique Finnish brand, three-way speakers, lovely. I'm not renting them, I own them. I won't have to pay when I use them. Cost to me €10. Of course I bought them second hand. I got this from what's called a Kearpis. So it's like a charity, it's sort of like a flea market stroke or a charity shop, and it's a Technics receiver, so it's an amplifier and a radio combined. So I got this it's from the 1970s, works beautifully. So I got that for €20. I had to clean it up a little bit, probably needs a little bit more of a clean, but it sounds brilliant. So I don't really want to listen to their radio, but what I do want to listen to is my CDs, from, obviously I'm not going to be listening to Robbie Williams or, their kind of controlled art, or Elton John, or, so I've got this CD, well, it's actually a DVD player, and I paid, you can see there, €6 for that yesterday. Works perfectly. You can also still buy CDs in second-hand shops. Now, again, we're not talking about you know, buying Elton John or all their kind of satanic crap. We're talking about, there's plenty of CDs produced by innovative, smaller artists. I've actually met this guy, Yi Karjalainen, really nice guy. Saw him in an antiques, as funny as it is, a second-hand hi-fi store in Helsinki. Lovely bloke. So what I'm saying is that, you know, for me in the future, what I'm kind of worried about is, I've never done any streaming because I want to own the music. Yeah, I'll just actually start playing this now so you can actually hear it. Will it work? So you can hear it works. So yeah, I don't want to pay them for music. I want to own it, and it's cheap at the moment. So my total hi-fi system costs, let's work it out, 20 for the amplifier, 10 for the speakers, that's 30, and €6 for the DVD player. So that's a grand total of €36, and I can use that for the next 30 years. Yeah, I won't have to pay a penny more. All I have to do is just collect some CDs whilst they're still around, some decent non-satanic ones. Because I also kind of reject this kind of laziness. They want you consuming their monopoly content. So you can see where this lie comes from, that all music is satanic. It's not. They don't want you to listen to nice music. They don't want you to put on some Bob Marley. There ain't no hiding place from the Father of creation. Does that sound satanic to you? Anyway, people just have to kind of not jump on bandwagons from controlled opposition and actually think for themselves. So yeah, you can. Like, I'm not going to be signing up for digital ID to access the internet. What I'm going to be doing is I've set myself up now, or I'm setting myself up for life without the internet, and it can be done cheaply. There's no need to spend £4 on some stupid hi-fi system. €36 will do the job, no doubt. Probably cheaper in Britain even, but you have to kind of think a little bit differently. Some people will say that this DVD player is a bit rubbish, but it's got a 24-bit DAC on there, digital analog converter, and if that's not good enough for you, you can always plug that into a separate digital to analog converter. I've got one of those 32-bit one. It's like less than €100. So yeah, we can do something. We don't actually have to be peasant serfs who rent everything, who are monopoly consumers of their depressing content. We can actually break out from that, but we've actually got to do it. We've actually got to take some action and not be like all the other Muppets, the other followers, and just go down the streaming route and just consume whatever they say we're allowed to consume, which is whatever's on their streaming platforms. So that's all I want to say today. So just one more positive thing. I go looking for CDs and records. I never pay very much for them. Quite a lot, you know, in charity shops and stuff, and record shops. What I'm seeing is an awful lot of young Finnish kids. It's not just baby boomers like me who have kind of sussed out that streaming has huge downsides, and you know, they're buying physical media as well. They're also buying films out. It seems to be a huge market for people buying old DVD discs and films on Blu-ray. So this is all good.